Hello students, today we are going to see a different topic in Indian polity, and that is federal features of Indian Constitution. First of all, the question arises, what is federalism in very simple terms? In very simple terms, if we talk about federalism, it simply means division of power. Division of power between different tiers of government. Different tiers of government. Now, the second question which arises is, what is basically the nature of Indian Constitution? What is basically the nature of Indian Constitution, or we can say, to be more precise, the nature of Indian polity? Whether Indian polity is unitary or Indian polity is federal, or it's a mix of two, which can be referred in the form of quasi-federal. Now, when the Constituent Assembly met and discussed the framing of Constitution, what did B.R. Ambedkar said? B.R. Ambedkar said that India is a union which is indestructible and this is a union of states, and these states are destructible. So in short, we can say that India is an indestructible union of destructible states. And this is what is also reflected when we see the Article 1 of Indian Constitution. Now, Article 1 of Indian Constitution clearly defines India as a union of states. Now, if we see the historical reference, the initial draft of the Indian Constitution has a word defining India as a federal country. Now, why was the need to define India as a federal country in the initial phase in the timeline of 1947, and why it changed to Union of States in 1949 when the Constitution final draft was completed? Actually, in the later phase of 1946 and 1947 initial period, there was a discussion going on whether the partition will happen or not. And that's why this federal nature was kept as an option, so that even the minorities, including the desire for Pakistan, could be curbed. Now, when we move on to the 1949 or post-independence period, this need was totally denied or self-removed because India was partitioned. Now there was a need to protect the unity and the integrity of the country. And for this, what was needed is to define India as a union of states. Now, there was also a third point. And the third point is, if you see the federations across the world, they are basically the two types. One is coming together federation. Coming together federation, and another one is holding together federation. There are these two varieties of federation. Now, when we talk about the coming together federation, USA is basically a prime example of the coming together federation. Why? Because the states there decided to come together and form a union. But when we talk about the India, it's an example of holding together constitution. Why holding together constitution? Because in India, it is basically the unitary nature, and it is the unitary nature which basically accommodates the federal feature. So, we can say that Indian Federation, it is federal. When we say that it is federation, we can say that it is federal in normal times and in extraordinary situation what we find that this nature becomes unitary. Now, what do I mean by this extraordinary nature? Let's say, for example, you can take the scenario when emergency is imposed in the country. In that case, the country definitely becomes unitary in nature. Now, we will see the federal features. What are the federal features of Indian Constitution? The first and the most important federal feature of Indian Constitution is dual polity. Now, what do I mean when I say dual polity? It simply means that both the center and the state have the sovereign powers. Both the center and state has its sovereign power in terms of legislation or executive work. That is, they both are sovereign and they have the power to decide when it comes to their own legislation and the executive work. Second, written constitution. Now, this is again very important to have a written constitution, because what it does, it secures the federal division of power. Now, written constitution is important to secure the features, the federal features which are mentioned in the constitution, because if they are mentioned in the constitution, it is not easy. It is not easy to delete or change them very easily. That's why it is always required that to be a federal nation, that we need to have a written constitution. Now, moving on to third federal feature, it is basically division of power. Now, what do I mean when I say division of power? It simply means that the power or the list of the issues or the headings is clearly specified in the central and the state list. And we have state list along with a concurrent list. When the subjects to be dealt by the center and the state are clearly divided in the center list, state list and the concurrent list, then what it minimizes is certainly the interference. Interference and discord between the center and the states over the issues or over the subjects which comes under their respective domain. Fourth important federal feature is supremacy of constitution. Now, why constitution needs to be supreme? The supremacy of the constitution is important because it ensures that the division of power, as we have mentioned in the third point, which is clearly stated in the constitution. Hence, until and unless we ensure and we respect that the constitution is supreme, this division of power or the federal features which are clearly mentioned in the constitution it can be easily changed or manipulated with. Now, the fifth federal feature of Indian Constitution is rigid constitution. Now, the question arises, why do we need a rigid constitution to ensure the federal feature of Indian Constitution? It simply means that the whatever features we have already provided in Constitution which ensures the federal nature should not be easily amended or changed with. And this is the reason why to change the federal properties which are mentioned in Indian Constitution, we need a special majority. Now, what do you mean when I say special majority? It simply means more than half of the members in terms of total strength of the House. And not only this, it also means two-thirds of the members who are present and voting. Present and voting. And not only this, since the federal nature involves the interests of the state, hence it needs to be ratified by more than half of the states. Now, the next feature which we are going to talk about is independent judiciary. Independent judiciary. Now, what I mean when I say that judiciary needs to be independent? When I say judiciary needs to be independent, it simply means that it should be independent in terms of its appointment or in terms of its salaries or in terms of its tenure or in terms of its transfer and postings. Now, why this independence is needed? This independence is needed to ensure that the judiciary does not work hand in hand with the centre, because in that scenario, both the judiciary and centre can definitely reduce or lessen the impact of the federal features of Indian Constitution. Now, how? Let's suppose judiciary is working in tandem with the centre. Then in that case, it won't allow the petitions regarding the issues which are affecting the federal nature of Indian Constitution or the cases where centre is certainly occupying the fields which needs to be provided to the state. Now, the last feature which provides the federal character to the Indian Constitution is bicameralism. Now, when we talk about the bicameralism, we know it is basically division of the parliament or the state legislative assembly in two houses, like Lok Sabha in the centre and the Rajya Sabha in the centre. Now, Lok Sabha, we know it is also known as House of People, and Rajya Sabha is basically known as Council of States. Now, why this is important? Council of States is important because before the members of Rajya Sabha should act as a member of their particular political party, they should act as a representative of their state, where they represent the aspirations, their demands and the interests of their respective states. Hence, we can see that these are basically the features which has led and which has provided the federal character to the Indian Constitution. In next part, we should see that what is the current nature. Now, when we see the current nature, we can easily assess that post-independence from 1947 to 2019, there has been trends, especially in the direction of increasing federalism. Increasing federalism. Now, how can we say that there is a trend towards increasing federalism? First, giving way to the linguistic reorganization of states. So, we can say it's a linguistic federalism, where center allowed the states to be reconstituted on the basis of separate language. Secondly, we can see the judicial federalism. Now, what do I mean when I say judicial federalism? When I say judicial federalism, I simply mean that judiciary acting in a way so that it promotes the federal character of Indian Constitution, and it has done through the famous Bommai judgment. Bommai judgment. Now, what did Supreme Court said in Bommai judgment? It said that federalism constitutes the part of the basic structure of constitution, hence it cannot be taken away. And secondly, it also provides the guidelines that should minimize the implementation of state emergency or Article 356 depending upon the whims and the fancies of the center. So, in this way, judicial federalism is promoted. Another feature which can be discussed, why I said that the trend is towards increasing federalism post 1947 till date. Increased dominance of regional parties. Now, as we have seen before 16th Lok Sabha election, the dominance of the regional parties certainly had increased much more, and even in the 16th Lok Sabha, we see that the regional parties do constitute a part of the ruling center. So, their needs, their aspirations of those regional parties needs to be accommodated. Fourth, and the most important point is increased assertion. Increased assertion for autonomy by the states. This we have constantly seen, be it in the case of the Northeast, or in the case of Jammu and Kashmir, or in the case of financial rights. As we have seen, the southern states demanding for their proper treatment under 15th Finance Commission. Now again, we can also see the issues which affects the cordial center-state relation. First and the foremost important point here is the role of governor. The role of governor becomes important because if the governor is from the ruling center, what he or she tries is basically to protect his or her government if they are the ruling party in the state, and if the ruling party in the state is of the opposite party, what he or she tries mostly, acting in a partition manner, is to ensure its speedy fall. Hence, governor ends up acting as an agent of center, thus promoting the interests of the center. Second point is concurrent list. Now, this is again very important because when we see the concurrent list, most of the topics or the subjects which are mentioned in the concurrent list has been occupied by the center, thus leaving a very little space for the state to legislate on such matters which are mentioned in the concurrent list. Now, as we also know, third point which we can say act as the issue of discord is the resource distribution. Now, resource distribution has always been challenged by the states, as I have already mentioned before that the 15th Finance Commission and the way it wanted to distribute those grants has been challenged. And it is in the wake of these challenges that if we come to realize that 14th Finance Commission increased the devolution of funds to the states from 32 to 42%. So, if we see the conclusion, or if we try to see the larger picture of Indian federalism, which is essentially quasi-federal in nature, we can say that Indian federalism is essentially a compromise. So, Indian federalism is a strict compromise between the division of power in strict terms between the center and state, which is needed, and the need to protect the unity and the integrity of the country. Need to protect unity and integrity of country. And hence, the essential nature of Indian federalism is quasi-federal. Quasi-federal. So, this is what we studied in the federal features of Indian Constitution, where we defined basically the 7 federal features of Indian Constitution, and in conclusion, we also stated that essentially it's a compromise between the need of the country to protect and promote unity as well as integrity, and on another side, we need to have a strict separation of power to provide a space for states to ensure their aspirations as well as needs are heard upon and looked after. This is all about the subject Federal Features of Indian Constitution. I hope you must have liked the video. Thank you and have a good day.